In November, the season ends on the 30th. We had Ada. Was it 4 years ago?
That was right
November,
after 2020 presidential election.
8th, 9th, 10th. So 4 years ago. It can happen. We can get these storms. It's not, I don't want to say rare, but we just don't see as many this time of the year. But where that is exactly where we tend to see them this time of the year. So let's start there. Potential Tropical Cyclone 19. So we call that PTC. And that is just because it's not technically good enough to be considered a depression or a storm, but they need to issue some watches for this bend right here. And so they can make something called PTC 19 and issue those watches. Winds are at 30 miles per hour, but it's really tough to find the center. There's a mid-level flow, and you can see it spinning. You see that spinning right up there? But then look where all the convection is, a little south of that. So they're not quite stacked yet, but we think that they will. And the forecast says gets up to about 70 mile per hour winds. I would not be surprised to see this get a hurricane, even though it's very close to land. This is tomorrow at lunchtime, 40 mile per hour winds. Friday at lunchtime, 70 mile per hour winds. All right, so that proximity to land could hinder this a little bit, but the water's very warm. The atmosphere is going to be very good for development, so we'll see if it can get up to hurricane strength. Then it does a loop on Saturday, hangs out in the same spot. Then Sunday finally starts to move around to the north and the west, and then Sunday night and Monday it moves out over land if this forecast holds. So the center can still go out here or down here. This thing may just get blown apart, but that's the next 5 days, and that's as far out as the hurricane center goes with the forecast. We're thinking we could see some impacts on Wednesday. That's 7 days out. So what does that look like? Well, forecast models agree with that little pause that you see there with the ridge building over top. And then they say yes over towards the Yucatan. And then by Wednesday, you see some are coming up here. Some are even actually looping around. This is doing that because there's not much left of it at that point. Now, what's steering is this ridge of high pressure, and it moves right over top of the Gulf and over top of us just in time to block this thing. That's out through Monday. All right. Now, after that, this will keep moving off to the east. It'll erode a little bit, but how much and when? That's what we need to know, because this is Tuesday. Then the system could come around this, and then on Wednesday it would come up across this. So that's where will it go? What will it look like at that point? Because if it comes across the Yucatan, it's not only going to go over land, which will wipe it out, but it's also going to get a little bit of wind shear. And in fact, there's going to be a ton of that. This is what the shading is here. Wind shear. Here's where the GFS thinks the center is. That is Tuesday, right? See all the shear here? The European has much more shear. But this thing comes along, picks it up, takes it over towards South Florida. It's a very weak remnant low, if that. That's a rainmaker more than anything else. And that shear you see there is one great big front coming through with some chilly air behind it. So it's going to push anything out of here either way that happens. Here's what it kind of looks like on a weather map. We're seeing the front come through. This is Tuesday. It'll be across the central Gulf. It picks up what's left. This is not a bunch of circles here like a real low pressure, right? It's a broad area of low pressure bringing a lot of rain our way by Wednesday. Same thing, very similar setup on the GFS model. That's Wednesday, some rain heading in our direction. So we'll keep an eye on that.